a large number of people and cargo to Mars in order to create a self-sustaining civilization there.
Everything that Elon Musk has done with SpaceX has been to establish a city on Mars. His focus after he sold PayPal has solely been to get humans to Mars and beyond. It's an ambitious project estimated to cost $10 trillion. There's other stumbling blocks to consider as well, but as we know, Musk never takes no for an answer. Here follows everything that you need to know about the mission to Mars and when it may happen, the birth of a dream. When Elon Musk made up his mind to go to Mars, nothing would stop him. Even he had realized quite early on that the rocket technology he needed was too expensive, so Musk decided to shift the goalpost. Instead of trying to use existing technology, he would change the technology to meet his needs. Thus, SpaceX was born. When Musk started his Mars colonization company, he needed funding and entered the market of battery-powered vehicles. In other words, electric cars. Tesla was born to fund SpaceX. Musk's salary from Tesla is a mere $1 per month for some kind of technical reason. The fact is, Musk does not want money. He wants to get the human race to Mars, and in that lies the difference between him and people like Jeff Bezos, who want to buy luxury and use his money as a status symbol. For that reason, Bezos is not heading to Mars with his Blue Origin space program. He wants to make money with space tourism. Musk also wants to get into space tourism, but once again, he wants to use that to fund his whole Mars expedition. When SpaceX was founded, Musk could not find a rocket engineer to join him because everybody was too scared of failure. In the end, Musk himself designed and had his first rocket built. It was the Falcon 1. This is an indication of what this man is capable of. If he can't find a rocket scientist, he'll build it himself. The first time Falcon 1 launched, it was a failure. Then the second one failed as well. Third time, right? Well, unfortunately not, as the third launch was another disaster. People were beginning to see Musk as a bit of a loony bin. By the time Falcon 1 was launched for the fourth time, Musk was out of money and had to work. And it did. On the 28th of September 2008, Falcon 1 became the first privately developed liquid fuel launch vehicle to go into orbit around the Earth. The dream was born, and to prove it was no fluke, Musk launched Falcon 1 again. On the 14th of July 2009, Falcon 1 made its second and final flight and successfully delivered the Malaysian Rasksat satellite on orbit to SpaceX's first commercial launch and fifth launch overall. Following its fifth launch, the Falcon 1 was retired and succeeded by Falcon 9. The timeline to Mars. Mars is only close enough to Earth every 2 years to make a journey to the red planet possible. Every 2 years, Mars is only 55 million kilometers away. Then, a year later, it's 400 million kilometers away and on the other side of the sun. For that reason, Musk has set the timeline for the first flight to Mars in 2022. If the window is missed, the next opportunity will only present itself in 2024. Many people believe 2024 to be the more reasonable date. The question is, does Musk agree? It's believed that another issue is the finances involved. Everything Musk is doing is to either take people to Mars and to finance people taking to Mars. Tesla has shown its first ever profit in 2020 and was less than $1 billion. To make up for the shortfall, Musk's new plan is to use the technology to build satellites in space, which makes internet access all over the world accessible to everyone all the time. He estimates that's going to add up to about $22 billion annually. It might also be quite feasible that the first flight to Mars is postponed for another reason, making money from space tourism, which could be possible by 2023. One of the first stages of going to Mars will be for the first crew to build a rocket propellant plant on Mars. They're going to have to produce rocket propellant from Mars as ice water and CO2. With this, they'll be able to create methane and liquid oxygen, better known as rocket propellant, as this will be a critical step to get colonists back to Earth. If 2024 is the year that first people go to Mars, it would realistically mean that they'll have their first colony established by 2025. It's thought that the colony will expand into different modules for food creation and much more, and that this expansion will lead to the beginning of a Mars city. The timeline suggests that the first city on Mars will be taking place by 2026. This seems quite possible because if the first colonizers can overcome Mars conditions, they may be able to carve out this new city, and secondly, who knows how large a Mars city could be? Who will decide if the colony is big enough to be called a city? But if there are colonizers on Mars, then it will be seen as a massive success already. Even if they somehow don't make it back, the data that they will collect will go a long way toward making further missions much easier. Musk's future Mars vision. Musk sees a future where many rockets launch and land on Mars daily from a space station orbiting the planet, and for that reason, they have perfected the propulsive landing technique where the rocket lands back onto its launch mounts. Because docking with the space station is the most dangerous part, SpaceX has worked out how to automate the process. Dragon 1 was docking manually, but Dragon 2 will be the first spacecraft to dock autonomously. Once this hurdle is conquered, it means that rockets from Mars will successfully dock many times per day with the orbiting space station. Another issue that they've been working on is how to make a more efficient heat shield that will last much longer, because cargo weight to Mars is expensive, so a few tons of extra heat shields will make the whole venture much more expensive. The Starship system. Starship is the vessel that will eventually carry humans to Mars. It's called the Starship system because it uses a two-stage system to get from Earth to orbit. The first stage is called Super Heavy, and the second stage is Starship itself. The Starship system has been successfully used to carry payloads to the ISS, and even being considered by NASA for that role. It's even carried astronauts to the ISS. Starship prototype SN8 performed the first high-altitude test flight on the 9th of December 2020, demonstrating most of its atmospheric re-entry maneuvers. Although a hard landing caused the explosion of the prototype, the test was deemed a success due to the data collected. More prototype starships have been built, and more are under construction as the design progresses. Musk wasn't fazed by the destruction of the SN8, but on the 2nd of February 2021, SN9 attempted a 10-kilometer or 6.2-mile flight, but it also exploded on landing after one of the Raptor engines failed to ignite. SpaceX will perform a major flight test of its latest Starship prototype soon after the previous two ended in fiery explosions. The Starship SN10 will launch from SpaceX's facility in Boca Chica, Texas, after improvements were made to its landing abilities. Elon Musk stated that these upgrades would give Starship SN10 a 60% chance of landing success. SN8 and SN9 each demonstrated SpaceX's ability to launch the craft to over 10 kilometers before reorient it to perform a controlled aerodynamic descent. Both initialized the complex landing flip maneuver, but neither could complete it. All eyes will be on the launch. The race for Mars? The bread planet doesn't seem to want humans on it. Mars is home to the largest volcano in the solar system, the deepest canyon, and its dangerous and unpredictable weather as well as temperature patterns. Suddenly, there seems to be a lot of interest in the red planet. As a reminder of the Cold War space race, other countries are also beginning to show interest in Mars. This is a major propaganda coup for any country. NASA's Perseverance rover is expected to touch down on Mars on February 18th, one of 3 separate missions arriving at Mars this month. On February 9th, the United Arab Emirates became the first Arab country to send a probe around Mars to study its atmosphere. The next day, China's Taiwan 1 mission completed its first successful journey to Mars. Taiwan 1 orbiter will spend a few months analyzing the surface of the planet before deploying the first non-American rover on Mars, which is scheduled for May or June of 2021. There have actually been 49 missions from 6 nations to Mars since 1960. The USA with 23, USSR 20, the European Union 3, China 2, Japan 1, India 1, and the UAE 1. The next important step is going to be having the first humans on Mars, just like the US had the first man on the moon. It would seem Elon Musk is going to beat everybody, but will probably soon do it under the American flag, and to think he's actually an African. Mars is compared to Earth. Earth has 1 moon, but Mars has 2, Phoebes and Deimos. Mars is also roughly half the size of Earth. One positive feature, colonizers, is that a day on Mars is almost half the length of Earth, which makes things easier for our internal body clocks. A day on Mars is 24.6 Earth hours long. A year, however, is 687 Earth days long, and it's much colder on Mars. Temperatures range from minus 140 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. Imagine the polar regions on Earth without all that ice. The 96% CO2 in the atmosphere is also not conducive to life, but it makes it much easier to produce rocket fuel. The trip to Mars will not be cheap and easy. There's many issues to consider besides the cost. These issues include the temperamental and dangerous weather, exceptionally fine corrosive sand, and radiation. It still sounds extremely exciting to be thinking about going there. Here is to the first people to land on Mars. And that's the end of today's video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.